Welcome to another episode of Ask Freeman, where you send in questions and we just answer 2 or 3 of them in an episode instead of converting them to a whole podcast episode per question. So we got a few more questions here. This first one comes from Emily. Do I need an estate plan if I don't have any kids? It's a great question, Emily. So estate planning is most important for those who do have kids. I will start with that. So it's great. That's why it's a great question, right? I think personally that's most important for those who have just had their first kids to make sure they get something done, right? Because it's your responsibility as a parent to ensure that you are taking care of your children, even if you are no longer around to do so, right? So one of the most important things that you need to do is to have a will so that you can establish guardianship, right? Who do you want to take care of your kids if you're no longer around? And do you want the government to decide who does that, or do you want to decide? And do they go to his parents or her parents, or his sister or her brother? Like, don't let your family fight over what happens with your children. You decide and make sure you get that legal in a will, right? And how do you, and so that's an important piece to get, right? And how do you make sure that all your stuff goes to your kids when you pass away without, getting sucked out by the government or by attorneys or the whole probate process, all those things. So all the reasons estate planning exists, it's really important if you have children that you get that done right away. It's also important if you're in the later stages of life, right? When you probably have less life ahead of you than you do behind you, right? And death is an inevitability. At some point, you're going to pass away. You own things. You need to make sure that they go where you want them to go as efficiently as possible with as little tax and fees and delays as possible. So I don't know your situation. I'm assuming, you say you don't have kids, so you're probably not in that first camp. And I don't know, if you're towards the end of life, then it's still going to be very important for you because you are, the chances of you passing away become higher and higher the longer that you live. And so those are the two main stages of life where it's most important to get an estate plan done right away and keep it up to date. I'm assuming you're not in either of those, though, which is why you're asking. And so then the question is, do we still need one if I'm not in either of those two categories, right? I'm younger, so like my natural point of death is probably way out there still. Obviously, you can always pass away in an accident, which is what we always, whenever we do estate planning, we assume what would happen if we died today, right? What do we want to have happen right now if we died today? And hopefully we can make it in such a way that even if we died in 10 years or 50 years, it would still be valid, although a lot can change in that amount of time. So what happens if you don't have kids and you're far away from a natural death? Some estate planning would still be good to do, right? Because some estate planning is, what happens if you die, but what if you're just unable to take care of yourself? Like you get in some accident and you can't make financial decisions anymore. You can't make health decisions anymore. That's why we have, the financial power of attorney and the healthcare power of attorney and the advance directive and the living will, all these different things. That's all part of estate planning as well. And you need that regardless if you have kids or not, regardless if you have assets or not. Who do you want taking care of you and or making decisions for you when you can no longer do that? So that's a good piece to go. You still have some assets, right? And if you have a spouse, the law in most states, I'm in Wisconsin, so I know Wisconsin's estate law pretty well, but there's a lot of other states and they have different variances. I'm in no way an expert in a state law in the state that you necessarily live in, but in most states, it'll try to go to a spouse first if you're married, and then to kids if you have them. And if you don't have kids and or you're not married, then who do they go to? It's not obvious where the things that you own would go if you were to pass away. And so who do you want to get them? And that's what estate planning is, right? Where do you want the things that you have to go, and who do you want to be in charge of all that? And so it's still important to get an estate plan regardless. If you're an adult that owns things, then you should have an estate plan. That's kind of the bottom line. Those are 2 phases of life, having kids and being closer to natural passing, that are where the importance of estate planning heightens quite a bit. But there's certainly some things that you can and should do regardless of where you are to make sure that you have that done. So I hope that answers the questions. If you want to know more, we have episode 31 is on creating an estate plan if you want to listen. And then episode 90 asks when should I update my estate plan? So if you just want to listen to some things, there's a couple episodes you can go back through your podcast player to find that. Again, that's episode 31 and episode 90. So those would be good ones to listen to, or you can go to retirementmentorship.com/31/90 to find those. Or we did an estate planning essentials workshop. And so if you go to retirementmentorship.com/workshop, you can find that whole workshop and you can watch that. And there's a workbook if you're a retire member and all that stuff. And that'll help kind of explain what more all these things are and why you need them and some options for getting those. And so that'd be a good one to dig deeper into that. But I hope that answers that question. Do I need an estate plan? even if I don't have kids. Let's do another one here. This one is from Quan. He asks, where is the best place for my extra money to go? That's a good question. You're going to hate the attorney answer. Obviously, it depends, right? So what does it depend on? There are certain things, right? First, you should have a plan, right? You should have goals. What are you trying to do in life? And then you should have a plan to get there. That's the best way to live by design and not by default, is to kind of have a vision for your life, goals for what you want to achieve, and then a plan to get there, right? And so then I'm assuming that you have that already. That's why you're saying extra money, and that you've got those things, and you are already putting money in the most important places to get those things done, right? Whether that's, getting the match from your 401k at work, properly, you get all the insurances that you need, and none of that you don't need, right? You're saving into maybe some Roth IRAs. You got enough money going towards retirement based on when you want to retire and what kind of lifestyle you want to have retirement. So you've done some pre-retirement or some in-retirement planning. And so I'm assuming you have all those things done, because if you don't, that's the first place. That's the first thing you need to do, right? Is know where you're going, have a plan to get there, and that will tell you where to put the money, right? Based on your goals, what you're trying to achieve, that will show you exactly, hey, based on your situation, based on what it depends on for you, here's exactly where you should be putting money, and the priority and the order in which you should be putting that money, and how much you should be putting money into each place, right? So that's what you need first. A lot of times what that's going to be, right? I don't want to just give you it depends, get a financial plan answer. So a lot of places those would be, HSAs, health super accounts, like to call them, right? We did a couple episodes on those. It's a great, the triple tax advantage of tax-free contributions, tax-deferred growth, and tax-free distributions if used for health expenses. It's a great place to put extra money. Roth IRA is a great place to put money. You can always get your contributions back out, right? Money market mutual funds through a brokerage account are a great place to park short-term money right now. If you're getting, right now, as of, February 2023, rates are actually high again right now. So you might be getting 1% or 2% in your bank, but you can be getting 3 or 4% in a money market mutual fund. So you get a bunch of short-term money and you need it soonish, right? So you don't want to necessarily throw it in the market. A money market mutual fund might be a great place to do that. So there's some ideas of where you could do with extra money. Paying off debt's always a good thing if you got a lot of debt. So there's a lot of things that it's hard to answer that one, because there's so many it depends factors of that. And I would just say, if you really have a plan and know what you want to do, that's going to answer that for you and going to give you the best possible answer in your situation. Let's do one more here. Friedrich asks, should I do Roth or traditional in my 401k? They just introduced the Roth version of it, and should I be putting some in there in addition to my traditional? Friedrich, that's a great question. I've talked about this a lot on the show. Episode 44, to Roth or not to Roth. Episode 87, should I convert my IRA to a Roth? And the workshop on reducing taxes in retirement are all great resources that have talked about this and give the full answer on whether or not you should do traditional or Roth. It gives you all the factors that you need to consider when you are looking at those things, right? So, and so the question of should I contribute to a Roth or traditional is the same factors as should I convert a Roth or traditional to a Roth, right? So episode 87, if you go back through your podcast player, you can find that one. That'll give you the full answer. The short answer is it depends on the taxes you're paying now versus the taxes you were going to pay in retirement, right? And so what tax bracket are you now? What's the highest amount of taxes that you're paying now? And then what is the highest amount of taxes that you'll be paying in retirement? And if you're paying more taxes now than you will in retirement, then you should keep doing traditional, right? Because we want to reduce taxes. We want to pay less taxes now on money by putting money in pre-tax into our 401k. And then later on, yes, we're going to pay taxes on when we pull it back out, but we'll be pulling back out at a lower tax rate. And so overall, we'll save taxes, right? We're trying to save the most amount of money, save the most taxes over a lifetime, not just 1 year or the other. If you are going to be in the same tax bracket, or if you're going to be paying more taxes in retirement than you are now, then you should be doing Roth and pay the taxes now at the lower tax brackets so that when you pull it out later, it's tax-free and you're avoiding those higher tax brackets, right? That's going to be the same for a lot of people who, currently right now, we're still in Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's currently still set to expire at the end of 2025. Tax rates are going up. So if you're going to stay in the same bracket, maybe you're in the 22% tax bracket now, and you're likely with retirement spending and whatnot to stay in that same tax bracket, but the rates are going up by 3%, right? So 22 becomes 25. And so if that's the case, we shouldn't do traditional 401k now and avoid paying 22% only to pay 25% later. Right? I would rather pay the 22% now and then avoid 25% later. And that's how you pay less taxes over your lifetime. So that's the short answer for that, right? We go into more, there's a bunch of other things you need to consider, the taxability of Social Security, all these different things. And we covered all those in some of those other episodes and in the workshop. So make sure you minimally go back in your podcast player, listen to that on your drive to work or whatever. And then, you can log in and view the workshop on YouTube or on the website, retirementorship.com/workshops if you want a really more comprehensive answer with more visuals and some of those things helps quite a bit to see that. So hopefully that's helpful for those. So again, do I need an estate plan if I don't have any kids? Yes. It's not as important, but you still need one. Where's the best place for my extra money to go? Have a financial plan that'll tell you exactly where all your money should go. And should I do Roth or traditional in my 401k? Depends on when you're going to be paying the taxes and how much. And we've got other full episodes that talk about all those things in depth. And you can find links to those in the notes for this episode. This is episode 103. So retirementorship.com/103. We'll have links out to all those other episodes as well. If that's an easier way to find those. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. If you have questions yourself and you want to get them answered on an episode like this, you can send them to questions@retirementorship.com, or you can go to retirementorship.com/question, and there you can submit it anonymously if you want to. You don't even need to put your email address or anything like that in if you don't want us to contact you. Just submit your question and we'll queue it up and get it answered on an episode like this. We're going to roll out a little mini series of 4 episodes here over the next 4 weeks. So stay tuned for that and we'll see you next week. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did enjoy that, you would love being a part of our free membership community. It's called Retire Membership, and you can sign up today completely for free. When you do that, you get a host of bonus and exclusive content that we don't give out anywhere else. For example, you can buy my book, 3D Retirement Income, on Amazon, but if you become a Retire member, we will send you one for free or give you the audiobook and ebook just for signing up. You also get additional bonus content, exclusive content, including Client Corner insights from some of the best minds in behavioral investing, workbooks to go along with our workshops to help you get the most out of it, and more ongoing bonus and exclusive content. Some of this you can't get anywhere else, and so we would love for you to join our community. You can join now at retiremembership.com. Otherwise, there's a link in the description of this video where you can sign up. All we want to do is continue to give you the best information out there so that you can retire successfully and stay successfully retired. So you can go in there, do that on our website. There's also a longer form podcast. I think it's episode 80 that will help explain what it is and what we're trying to do with Retire Membership. But join now for free. Get this and much more exclusive content by joining us today. We look forward to seeing you there, and thanks for watching. Cheers.